All right, class, we're going to talk about Essay 2 right now, which is the SLO essay, standing for Student Learning Outcomes, which you don't really need to know about. So the purpose of this essay is, in this assignment, students will demonstrate the ability to compose a well-organized and effectively developed essay in MLA format using a combination of 3 different rhetorical strategies: argumentation, persuasion, and exemplification. You will use argumentation by putting forth strong argumentative claims for the thesis and topic sentences. You will use exemplification by providing evidence in the form of quotes from scholarly and credible sources. And you will use persuasion by convincing your reader that the evidence you have provided proves the thesis and topic sentence claims. While this combination of strategies represents somewhat of a deviation from the textbook in that the textbook only asks you to do one strategy at a time, a sample essay will be provided in the writing assignments folder to demonstrate the proper form, and of course we're going to go over it. This essay should include a clear thesis statement, topic sentences to support the thesis statement, major details to expand on topic sentences, and additional evidence to reinforce the major details. You also need, as an aside, analysis of that evidence in your own words, explaining how it proves the claim that you're putting forth. Okay, so the 3 rhetorical strategies are argumentation, persuasion, and exemplification. Make sure you study not only the chapters, but all of my videos on these subjects. The writing topics, you may select any social or political topic which you find interesting. However, I would prefer that you deviate somewhat from your comfort zone and try to find an original topic. I get very tired of reading the same essays over and over. So try to come up with an angle that nobody has thought of. Let your research on Galileo be your guide. If you get stuck and simply cannot find a topic, I will provide a list of sample topics that you can choose from in a pinch, but I won't provide these topics until a little bit later. So you want to spend the time trying to pick your own topic. Now, a little bit more about topics. What constitutes a good topic? What do I not want to hear? Well, I want you to think about all of the arguments that you've hashed out with your family, your weird uncle at Thanksgiving, 1,000 times. Maybe you're not that argumentative. Maybe you're just kind of a happy-go-lucky person and you don't like to get in conflicts with people, so you don't really bring up your opinions, or maybe your opinions aren't well developed and you're not really sure about a lot of this stuff. And that's fine, and that's no problem, because I'm not really sure, to be honest. I used to be sure, and if anything, I've become more humble over time, because you learn that the things that you think are true are oftentimes they don't stand the test of time. So my whole approach to this is that I just don't want to hear the same stuff I've always heard. I'll give you some topics that are pretty much off the table. I don't want the gun control essay, so that's like pro-guns or anti-guns. And it's not because I feel any particular way about these topics. I want to preface that. I don't care. There's no topic you could bring up that would give me any kind of anxiety or bother me or anything like that. I'm very good at being objective in my own mind. The reason that I forbid these topics is because I've read them so many times, and they're easy arguments. They're knee-jerk arguments that students tend to make that don't have a lot of thoughts. The first one is gun control. The second one is going to be, I don't want the marijuana paper. For or against. I get that you guys are some of you are very enthusiastic one way or the other. I don't want to read this essay again. I don't want to read the abortion essay again. That one also, because it can get a little depressing to read that paper all the time. And it's such an emotional topic for so many people that it gets chosen a lot. And also another reason that one is forbidden in particular is because a lot of times students make arguments based on pure emotion, or they make arguments based on religious reasoning, and those are fine in your daily life and they can motivate your ethical opinion of something, but they're not. When we write argumentatively and in an academic way, we need to stick to what we can show and what we can prove and what the research can tell us. So there is you could do a anti-abortion paper that was totally based on law, probably, if you focused on certain aspects of it, but it typically doesn't fall that way, and so it's one of those topics that I really would prefer that you shy against. And again, it's not I get that a lot of people are passionate about that. That's not the reason that it's banned. It's just it's overused, and it's easy to get carried away. So what else? What other topics? I mean, really, a lot of the stuff that we've heard 1,000 times. I want you to, like I said, I want you to push yourself. I want you to think about some things that maybe you've never thought about before. I like a lot of environmentalist topics. I'm kind of, you know, that stuff's kind of interesting to me. Like, how would you solve certain problems with agriculture, or the environmental balance, or the ecosystem, or like overfishing or stuff like that? I'm really interested in that kind of stuff. And I'm interested in arguments about like how to deal with automation and the changing job market and stuff, and how we can diversify our economy and stuff like that. You know, so it's those kinds of things are good, and it just really depends on what sort of information you can find. And like I said, we're going to be going over the strategies and talking about them in some other videos. So hopefully it will become a little more apparent. If you're worried about a topic, of course, you can reach out to me and ask and bounce a topic off of me. And one last thing I want to say about topics is that you should not worry about what I think. Okay, I know that a lot of people think they can tell my politics and stuff and all this different stuff. I really play the devil's advocate. And to be honest, I can see a lot of truth in a lot of different directions and a lot of falsehood. I don't really have an ideological position that, you know, speaks to me as an absolute, this is true. So you shouldn't worry about that. You should just worry about making your case the best you can using factual evidence and things that you can find, and just doing the assignment the way that I want you to do it, following the structure, following the requirements. And if you do that, you'll do pretty well. So you shouldn't worry like, oh, maybe he's not going to agree with this, or oh, I don't know. Don't worry about that stuff. Okay, just as long as your topic isn't something crazy and horrible, you know, that like an argument you would only make if you were some kind of like sociopath, that, you know, that's the kind of thing that is off the table. But everything else, if you believe it and you want to try to prove it and you think you can do it with the evidence, then it's generally good to go, as long as it's not something that we've heard 1,000 times. I know that's sort of ambiguous. I like to give you a lot of freedom. Okay, sometimes freedom can be tricky, because freedom means you have to make decisions, and you know, it gets a little tricky. Sometimes it's easier. I think some folks prefer it to, like, if I hand you a topic, so I will do that. I'll hand you a list of topics. You might not resonate with those, and it's not going to happen till later. Okay, so what are the requirements? 5 well-developed paragraphs, 950 to 1,000 words, same as last time. Introduction has to follow hook, line, and sinker. Have a hook as the attention getter, line as context, and sinker as thesis statement. Thesis must be the last sentence of the introduction. One stipulation that makes it different from the last essay is that the thesis must put forth an argumentative claim. So when we talk about argumentation, I'll talk about what argumentative claims are. Each body paragraph must have an easily identifiable topic sentence, and the topic sentence must also put forth a smaller, more focused argumentative claim. You must have major and minor details and transition words and phrases that correspond to the rhetorical strategies that you are using. Each body paragraph must include direct quotes from scholarly sources to provide as evidence for the claims put forth by the topic sentences. You must have a minimum of 2 scholarly sources listed on your works cited page. I recommend 1 per paragraph, so 3 would be the magic number, but 2 is the minimum requirement, and that's actually probably less than I should do, but whatever, we'll just leave it there. You please use the Galileo search engine, which you can access through Blackboard. You can also access it with a password that I think you can get from the media specialist, but there's a link through Blackboard, which is good. It's got to be, I think we're actually 9th edition MLA, but that's okay. 8th edition, 9th edition, there aren't many differences. Just make sure your MLA is up to speed. Use the Purdue OWL if you're confused about that. So that is the second essay. There's a lot of freedom, there's a lot of leeway, and we got a lot of learning to do before you can put something like this together. You notice that the training wheels are off, and we're going to start turning things up a little bit, and this is what real college writing is about. You have to be able to search through sources and to find credible information, and you have to be able to distinguish what is true and what isn't, and to learn how to operate as a reasoned person within the sphere of academic relevance. So that's easier said than done. Hopefully, you will be able to pick it up over the next couple of weeks. And of course, you can always reach out to me if you have any questions whatsoever. Have a lovely evening, afternoon, twilight, whatever time it is. See you later.